talk to Alex here about the standard process of how to set XC up. This is our XCR 300, okay? And we wanna get into how we can move it up and down the rack to really get like the ultimate upper body ergometer experience. The first one and the most popular position that we see is simply standing. You know, you can use it from a seated, standing, lying down, all kinds of different things. But from a standing position, you know, where I would use it for a shoulder, for upper body cardio and then strength training. So let's talk about how, you know, you would set me up in this position.
Yeah, so I think the most important thing is you want to put it into a position of comfort. So when you're doing warm-up, something like that, you probably want it to be that when you're kind of coming over the top, to have your hand about shoulder height, if not a little bit above.
Okay.
Usually what that does is it puts the axis right here about just below your shoulder height, somewhere in this region here. So I'm just looking at it right now. It actually looks like a fairly decent height for you. How's that feel there?
That feels good. And so one of the things that we tell people when they're using XC in this way, there's a lot of resistance in the device. People are so not used to using their upper body in this way, right? It's the most underutilized piece of equipment on the planet. So as we turn resistance up, we want people to slowly gravitate, you know, into building it up. And, you know, just walking through, hear you jump on there and like talk about some of the different muscles, and I'll turn your resistance up a little bit because you have nice healthy shoulders. You know, some of the what you're feeling, what muscles you feel like are engaged in this position.
Right. So when the resistance is a little bit like lower into a where you're kind of loosening things up, I'm definitely using a lot of my deltoids. A lot of my triceps as I push, as I pull with my bicep, but also an important muscle, especially from a physical therapy perspective, is your serratus anterior. And that's a muscle that sits on the front of your rib cage, and it's really important for scapular stabilization. And that's one thing that I personally like as a physical therapist, is doing exercises where you have weight through your hands. Either, I mean, you can think of like planks, push-ups, anything with body weight engages a lot of muscles rather than just doing a simple bicep curl, for example. So this, I can feel like I'm using my shoulders and my serratus anterior as well. If we turn the resistance up here, and I actually have to start kind of pushing, all of a sudden now I feel like I have to stabilize with my stomach a little bit more. I mentioned that serratus anterior muscle. That muscle also attaches into your external oblique. So if I'm really having to work harder with my serratus anterior, that's going to fire my external oblique a little bit more too. And then once the resistance starts to build up, I feel my heart rate start to get up a little bit too.
So do me a favor, go in reverse.
Go in reverse. All right. So I might have to turn the resistance down a little bit.
Yeah.
But then
we'll turn you down a little to get you started, because, you know, we have 2 to 70 pounds, you know, so taking that person all the way from injury, all the way to returning to sport. But I love the ability to go in reverse, right? We see this so frequently with our foot pedaling, right? Going in reverse. But are you feeling just different muscles working here?
Definitely. So now instead of, you think of your serratus as a muscle that's going to like push forward. Now instead, while I'm pulling back, I'm using my shoulder blades here to initiate that motion. Now I'm going to work kind of more the back of my shoulders, a little bit on my biceps too as I'm pulling.
And from this position, a popular move that we see is coming down, squatting while doing it, and kind of pushing up into it. Right? Then really incorporating your whole body into the movement.
Yeah, and I think that's important, especially for any type of athlete or overhead athlete, is can they kind of link their core from their legs to their upper body. So making sure that one doesn't affect the other and that you can stabilize across your trunk. That's something that you can think about as you're going into a squat with overhead motion.